I'm Batman.
Easy, miss. I've got you.
You've got me? Who's got you?
Mr. McGee, don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
I'm a doctor. But probably not the one you expect.
I'm Captain Kirk.
Welcome everyone to the special Geek This Week presentation, and this is the Alex Kingston Panel from Pensacon 2025 from the Robert Center in the First Methodist Church in Pensacola, Florida. Sit back and watch. We know Alex Kingston, famous for her roles as Dr. Elizabeth Corday in ER, but more famous for her role as Dr. River Song in Doctor Who. So sit back and watch as Alex Kingston talks about her time as River Song, her other many roles in TV and movies, and a little banana Doctor Who trivia. So, and sit back, enjoy the panel, and when you're done, check out all the other great content on the Geek This Week YouTube channel. And thank you guys, and I hope you enjoy the panel.
We are closing out the con with a bang. You know her from ER and from Doctor Who and from right here. It is Alex Kingston.
Hello, sweeties! Well, this is very, look at this, it's like a little armchair. It's kind of feels very English.
We got the comfy chair for you.
Comfy chair, yeah, amazing. I feel like I'm in someone's parlor.
Well, welcome to my parlor and welcome to closing out Pensacon. Have you had a great weekend?
Yeah, I have, yes. I've had a great opportunity to meet the fans and chat with them. I hope I've given them enough time and they feel like they got their money's worth.
Well, if not, I hope you certainly give it to them right now.
Yeah, I certainly will give it to them right now. They have no idea.
I spent the morning on YouTube watching the highlights of River's Song, and it's so much fun. Just how much of a good time did you have just creating and playing that role to this day?
It's the sort of the gift that keeps on giving, to be perfectly honest, because I didn't expect that I would still be playing, let alone talking about this character so many years after she first sort of came on the screens, because I only thought that I was going to be in that first 2-episode story arc, because I mean, I think anybody would think, you know, if you sacrifice yourself for the man you love, that's it. Game over. But of course I didn't know the mind of Stephen Moffat. He had already had quite a clear plan for what was going to happen to that character and how she was going to come back. And it's just, it's been gorgeous working on the show.
And how rabid are Doctor Who fans for that character?
Doctor Who fans are, I'm not going to say rabid, I'm going to say they are incredibly loyal. And it's fascinating how everybody has their own particular doctor, and you know, they attach themselves to that doctor and then that is it. But it's, I mean, what I love about the show, and I cannot actually think of another show where this is applicable, but I mean, it is multi-generational. So you can be a grandparent, you can be a great-grandparent, and watch it with your grandkid. And everybody is enjoying a different experience, but of the same show. So that's quite extraordinary. And I think the message that it sends is a really positive message. And I think it's a great show for families to watch together.
Well, since we're talking about rabies and diseases, let's. How would Dr. Corday enjoy coming and doing an American TV series like that? What was that?
Well, that was my first introduction to America, really. I mean, I'm a theatre actress. That's how I began. Growing up in England. I mean, one didn't ever sort of even imagine that one would have a television career. You know, when I started out, if you wanted to be an actor, it was because you were passionate about theatre. And so that's how I really began. And I had no intention or desire to go to Hollywood and do any of that. And it was just because I had been on this show, Mole Flanders, which was a mini-series, which then happened to be showing then in America on the East Coast and the West Coast. And I had to go over to promote that. The producers of ER saw the show and asked me to come along and have a meeting with them. I didn't know at the time that it was the biggest show in the world. I had no idea. And when they asked me to join the show, I absolutely thought that they had made a mistake and that they'd realised their mistake. You know, I thought, oh, give it a month and then they'll kind of write me out and that'll be that. But I couldn't believe it.
How were you accepted? You came in, of course, in the middle of the show's run. Were you accepted immediately by the cast?
I was accepted immediately by the cast. They were so generous. I think also just because she was an outsider, she was British, and medically, this is something that's quite common. You get doctors from somewhere else in the world who come and do a sabbatical in a hospital in another country. So the writers had been already looking for that, but they just didn't know which country they were going to bring the character from. So I think it was just really luck and the perfect opportunity that Mole Flanders was being shown in the States at the time when they were making the decision about who they wanted to cast for that outside doctor.
And did the show, do you think it had a satisfying ending? Were you happy to be invited back for the ending?
I was so happy to be invited back for the ending. You know, I missed all the actors and the characters that couldn't come back because they'd been killed off. But so it was I thought it was such a lovely, generous thing for them to do, to try and, you know, to write a storyline that would bring me back just for that final episode. That was very special. And I've stayed in touch. Like whenever I go to New York, I always try and meet up with Anthony Edwards, and we have lunch or supper together and have a catch up. Paul McCrane, who plays Rocket Romano, he'll always send me an email once a year telling me about his wife's jewelry sale. You know, and I bump into Noah frequently in airport lounges. I mean, we were like family for a long time.
I think you have some people here who would like to ask you some questions.
I see that.
Let's start right over here.
Hi, my name's Natalie.
Hi, Natalie.
Now that David Tennant has returned, in a sense, is there a storyline that you would really love to see River come back for?
Well, so I've just got to kind of, you guys can help me clarify this, because, I mean, David keeps coming back. It's like, he can't. It's like, dude, let it go. And also, I'm like, so the Doctor has two hearts, but now does he only have one heart? Because is the heart, split between two versions of the Doctor? It's a little confusing, and I feel that it needs to be clarified by Russell T Davies, to be perfectly honest. And I'm just like, so what? Is David Tennant's Doctor just sitting in Donna's house having tea and biscuits? He did what? Oh, but was he then like? Did he exist like with these two split Doctors? I don't buy that. I'm sorry, I don't buy that. But if David Tennant can keep coming back all the time, so can River Song.
I think they like the idea.
Yeah. So I'm going to do something, you guys don't know this, but so for every question that you ask me, I'm going to ask one of you a question. and you thought this was just my travel bag. So, all right. Can any of you tell me the name of an episode in which Matt Smith's doctor ate fish fingers and custard? I see the man over there. He put his hand up. You've got to put your hands up, not shout it. Yes, sir? Right. Now, question.
So, out of all the places you've been to for either shows or cons, what has been like your favorite to just be in or just look around?
Well, I came from Megacon last weekend, and because I was having my having sort of like a double con holiday time here, I spent Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday actually recovering from the Megacon because it was so intense. And the hotel had a pool and it was lovely weather, so I was able to just relax. And that was really nice. I like it here because we were able to go to the beach and I couldn't get over the colour of the sand. It was just extraordinary. And the food here is really good. The oysters in particular are amazing. I mean, when it's the New York convention, I love going to New York. I mean, it's just an exciting city to be in for a short time and then to get out of. I loved Montreal. It just feels so different, but I mean, because it is so different. But you know, hearing the French being spoken and I would like actually to. I've done New Orleans once, but I think I was in and out. I'd like to go back to New Orleans and actually spend some time and really get to know the city. Yeah. Yes?
If you had your choice between returning to the main series of Doctor Who or having a Torchwood-style spin-off of your own, which would you rather do?
Oh, that's difficult. I've been asked, when I was actually actively working on the show and playing River Song, I quite liked just sort of dipping in and out because it allowed me to still do other things. But I've been doing a lot of river adventures with all of the audio recordings, so the diaries of River Song, and so I've got to a point now where I feel like actually it'd be quite cool to have a spin-off. If it was sort of like, you know, a limited sort of like, I don't know, 10-part or an 8-part series, so it wouldn't take up the entire year necessarily. I'd be quite open to that now. Yeah. So, next question.
No Googling.
Okay.
No
No
Googling.
Googling. So there's another episode in which the Doctor eats fish fingers and custard. What's the name of the other episode? Have a banana. All right. I'm not very good with throwing. I'm not. And if I take an eye out, please, I'm so sorry.
What was your favorite part about being in Doctor Who?
I think, to be honest, it's, I would say, and this applies to actually a lot of the jobs I've done, I love working on something that has a good script and a good story, and also I get sort of quite close to the other actors that I'm working with, and if it's a good company of people, it's just such a joy just to get up and go to work every day. And I've been fortunate because I've had that with Doctor Who, with ER, with A Discovery of Witches, I've been, and I've had that also in theatre as well, you know, and I think actually coming from a theatrical background, company is so important, and if you don't all bond together, then the play is just not going to be any fun to perform, but also you could just tell that, I think an audience can tell. And so because I come from that background, I'm used to, and actually I expect it to be like that in television as well, which it isn't always. Sometimes you can get actors who are playing the lead and who think they're somehow better than the rest of the company. But I've been fortunate because that hasn't really happened to me. So, yeah. Right, I'm going to ask another question. Guys. Haha. No, I'm going to leave that one to later.
The good
Oh,
banana.
right. Okay. So, this is all food related. My questions are all food related. So, which doctor wore a vegetable, and what was the vegetable? That, you over there. You, yes, you. Yes.
Yes. First of all, I'd like to welcome you to the great city of Pensacola. Let's give her a round of applause.
Oh, thank you. It's my pleasure.
Actually, I have a bit of a production question. What is the difference between U.S. television and UK television?
The food. In a nutshell, it's the food.
You're not talking about the banana.
So, in England, you go to work, the facilities are, the facilities in England, I would say, equate to if you were working on a low budget independent film here. Unless it has a relatively big budget, or like if you are the doctor or the companion, you might have a sort of a trailer, a decent sized trailer, but everybody else will have like a cubicle, including me. And the food is, and you have a breakfast, lunch, and maybe like a soup or something if you're working late. But when I came to America to do ER, oh my God! I mean, there's just endless food all the time, and sweets and chocolate and just like, you know, they would have like a full, almost like a full brunchy, lunchy thing at 11 o'clock, and then you break for lunch, and it's but they don't eat lunch at lunchtime. They all go to the gym because there's a gym. I couldn't believe, you know, how really well we were treated. It was amazing, actually.
like a spa.
Sorry?
Like a spa.
Like a spa, yes. ER was like a spa, absolutely. Thank you. So, I have another question. What's this one? Let me see. Haha! Okay, this is another. Okay. Which doctor installed a custard cream dispenser in the TARDIS? No. Who was? No. No. It was before that doctor. You can't answer. You can't have two bananas. Yes. Jodie Whittaker. Yes.
Thank you for being here. You're beautiful. In the ER series, where would you have wanted your character, what storyline would you like to see progress?
Well, you know, it's difficult because I was brought onto the show. I wasn't aware of this, but I was brought onto the show to be the love interest for Dr. Benton. And
how was that? Just in the
it was great. And we got on really well, Eric and I. And what I hadn't appreciated was his character prior to the relationship he had with Dr. Corday. All of his relationships with women had always turned out pretty bad. And, you know, they were women of his own community. And Eric started to get letters from women who were uncomfortable, and they were saying, you know, is it only that Benton can have a healthy, loving relationship with a white woman? And he got very, very uncomfortable about this. And to the point where he just said, this relationship has to end with Corday because I don't want to send the wrong message, which I completely respected. But at the same time, I was also really sad because Eric and I we really got well. And Corday, because of who Benton was as a character, Corday was quite sort of feisty. And so when that relationship ended, and the writers were, I think, not too happy that they had to end the relationship because that had been their intention. They just wanted me immediately to have a relationship with Dr. Green. And what I don't think they had fully appreciated was, as an actor, you know, you've got to then do a kind of complete 360 in terms of who your character is, because I was like, she'd have him for breakfast. You know, he's sort of much gentler and he's just different to Benton. And so I had to sort of find a way to not dull her down, but to sort of just take the edge off Corday a little bit, which I think ultimately it worked. But yeah, so I sort of, in a way, I wish that that Benton and Corday had been able to have a little bit longer. Although I loved working with Tony as well, I really, really did. And that, you know, his storyline then was so sad. But yeah. Thank you. Yes.
Hi, I saw you at DragonCon a few years ago, and you said a special word, not sweetie, but another one. Will you say that?
Spoilers. Is that the one you want?
Yes, that's what I want to hear.
Okay. This is a food one. This is quite. Let's see. This is quite old school. That's my clue. The first Doctor, William Hartnell, in an episode called The Romans, he had quite an unusual food item. Does anybody remember what that was? No, you're done. If I say it was some kind of bird. No, it was a bird that one doesn't normally eat.
Donut. Penguin.
Who said that? Breast of peacock. There you go. Well, you weren't paying attention, were you? Yes, your question.
Hi, I'm very big fan. I actually saw you in ER as Elizabeth Corday with my mom. My family have been in medical for a very long time, and my whole thing is like when Elizabeth found out that Mark was diagnosed with cancer, I really would like to know how she had to deal with that, because my dad unfortunately passed away from stage 4 colon cancer, and he basically didn't find out until it was like too late.
Well, because with Mark, it happened twice. So he had the operation to remove the tumor, and then, you know, the storyline, he was in remission and it all seemed to be fine, and then it came back, and that was then the storyline that then led to him passing. I was so angry with Tony for, I mean, I understood that he wanted to leave, and I got that, but I was just so cross with him because he was putting me through this traumatic storyline. And when we were in Hawaii filming the very end, oh my gosh, I mean, I was absolutely in pieces, and I was just cross with him, and I think it was sort of genuine. It was sort of like I was cross with him for leaving me, and it was a sort of a mixture of Alex being cross with the actor Anthony leaving me, but also I felt cross as Elizabeth Corday that Mark Green was leaving me. So it was very mixed and quite difficult for me to kind of process. And it was like 4 years later, I was in London driving in the back of a black cab, and the taxi driver recognized me and then talked about this episode, and I just burst into tears. So it's sort of, you know, it really, it resonated with me hugely. It's a difficult journey, and I'm sorry that you had to go through it.
Yeah, because I mean, honestly, with my dad, I mean, it was like stable, and then they basically did like a chemo holiday, but they didn't monitor it, and that's when, like, after Christmas.
Yeah. Well, he's up there looking down on you, and I'm sure he appreciates the question. So, who said, would you like a jelly baby? Yes, what's your question? What's your question?
Hi. So I originally knew you as River Song, and I just completed reading the Discovery Witches series, and it's become quickly one of my favorites.
Yes.
So what was the experience of bringing that book that is so well loved as a trilogy now, continuing on even further with plans of 7 books now?
Yes.
What was it like to get to bring Sarah Bishop to life?
Well, I kind of, because I knew that it had already such a beloved fan base from the books, I was a little concerned playing Sarah Bishop that would the American audience, because primarily, you know, it was American readers, would they accept me as Sarah Bishop, being an English person playing American? But I've had pretty positive remarks, so I think I did okay. I loved working with Valerie, who played M. I mean, we, from the very first day we met, we just bonded, and she's an extraordinary actress, a beautiful woman, and we've stayed super close ever since. It was lovely. I mean, you know, how lucky am I? I get to fly a TARDIS, I get to perform magic. I mean, it's such a great job. But yes, I've loved it. I think the books going forward actually are going really back in time. So I don't think there is any opportunity for me to be involved in anything going forward, because I think actually she might even be writing one book that's specific to the early days of Em and Sarah. That was one of the ideas that that was sort of being floated around.
Thank you so much.
Right, game time. So, okay. Actually, Matt Smith's kind of had 3 questions, but this is another one. What is the name of the cookie that Matt Smith's doctor enjoys eating? Dammy Jammy Dodgers. There you go. That was a slap. Yes.
All right, well, first I just want to say, as someone whose doctor is the 11th doctor,
Yes.
thanks for being a big part of my doctor. The question I've got for you is, are there any scrapped or canceled episodes or storylines or plans that you wish you had been able to film?
Oh, if there are, it's not anything that I know of, because I mean the fact that Stephen Moffat already knew River was coming back and he didn't tell me. So anything like that, I think they keep pretty close to their chest. I mean, he didn't even tell Russell T Davies. And Russell sort of just had an inkling because he thought there's no way that Stephen Moffat would write such a sort of well thought through but tragic storyline without there being a future for this character, leaving the audience hanging like that. So he kind of had an inkling that there was something going on already with this character, but Stephen didn't tell him. Yeah, I wouldn't know. Yes.
My mother is a drama teacher from Mortham, and actually, coincidentally, was Holly Hirsch's first drama teacher.
Oh, wow.
Her family was stationed here. So my question following on from that is, what aspects of your theatrical training in Britain do you wish more of your American colleagues had?
I would well, I don't know what the American drama school system here is like. But the one thing I would say is that I think if you want to be an actor, it's so important to be as versatile as possible, just, for work options. So, you feel comfortable working on stage. You can work in front of a television camera or a film camera. I mean, now there's even more, like audio. Now there's gaming. There's learning how to work in front of a green screen. So it sort of is expanding. So the more that you can get under your belt in terms of experience and training, I think the better, because it equips you then to be as versatile as you can possibly be. But I do, I sort of feel that this country, people on the whole, think about being an actor and they think then just about being a TV star or a movie star. And for me, it was never about that. It was about the work. And as I say, the work for me was theatre. I never in a million years thought I'd ever do telly. I thought I'd be completely happy just doing play after play after play. But I think with social media and everything as well, there's a blur. I think people get confused about what it means to be an actor and what it means to be a celebrity or a star. And I think a lot of young people think they want to be an actor, but actually what they want to be is a celebrity. Okay. Oh, nearly there, not quite. Haha. So there was one doctor who became vegetarian. Who was that? The man with the hand up? What was his name? Yes! Yes. In one of the episodes, I can't remember what the creature was, but it was some sort of horrible, slimy cannibal. And after that, he vowed he would become vegetarian. And yeah, obviously that changed with the regeneration. Yes. Oh, yes.
So my question, so you guest starred on the reboot, or the 4 episodes to Gilmore Girls, A Year in the Life. What drew you to that role?
Well, nothing drew me, they just asked me. They asked me and I said yes.
Because it was just such a fun, like, guest starring, or like guest role, and I just thought that was definitely not way I've seen for you compared to Corday or River.
Yeah, I mean the writers, the husband and wife team, you know, they were big ER fans, and we were filming ER when Gilmore Girls first began, and we were all on the lot at the same time, the Warner Brothers lot. But I didn't really know much about Gilmore Girls. I didn't follow it because I was busy working. But I just thought, when they asked me, I wasn't doing anything at that time, so I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. What I didn't realize was how much they control the scripts. And they are very, very, they want every sort of T to be crossed, they want every breath to be taken, they want their scripts to be spoken exactly as they had written them, which was a sort of a known thing in the industry, and not easy for the actors. And I blew in, I had no idea. So I was just like, oh no, in England they wouldn't say this, they'd say this. And I just sort of like said what I felt was right. And I think everybody was so kind of like shocked that I was going off piste that they let me do it. And you know, I was like, oh, thanks guys, bye, okay then. And it was afterwards that Alexis was just like, that's never happened before. You know, everybody's so scared of getting something wrong, and I had no idea. So, yes.
I want to know, when did you find out the big secret about River's song? And like, how did that, were you just as excited as we were?
I knew about the big secret before anybody else. And because I was living in America, whenever Stephen had an idea that he wanted to introduce River's song into this storyline, he would have to reach out to me to find out if I would be available, because it meant I would fly over to England and I would be there, you know, for a certain amount of time. So they needed to know that I had availability. And when I said yes, then he would go ahead and then complete the episode that he had wanted to write. And so for this particular episode, he called and basically talked and said, okay, it's a very, very big storyline, and it's the secret of who your parents are, your parentage. And this was 6 weeks before we started filming. But so of course he had to tell me, and he had to know that I was saying yes to doing the job. But then also it was absolutely obvious to me that this was a secret that had to be kept. And so I kept it. And the other guys, they knew something was, they knew I had a secret that they didn't know about. And so there was a certain element of bribery, but and the script, the shooting script, didn't have the reveal in it. So the actors didn't know when they got the shooting script, the crew didn't know, and it was only, I think it was like a couple of days before, or maybe even just the day before, that the actors got the sides, and in the sides it had the actual scene. But the crew didn't. And so when we came to filming, the crew were given basically the scene, but without that reveal, because it was so important that there was no leak. And so literally, basically the crew sort of found out as we were delivering it on camera. But I was so smug for weeks because I knew that they wanted to know and I wasn't going to tell them. It was great. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Hello. Thank you for coming to Pensacon. And here I am stammering, forgetting my question because I'm so excited to talk to you again. You have been in several television shows and stuff and just little short snippets like the Arrowverse, you were Dinah. Now that of course is another one of those great universes, and there is DC. If you were offered, would you be like one of those superheroes in a Disney outfit thing, like Marvel? Like
hell yes! I thought so. Absolutely. I mean, with Arrow, it was a little for me unsatisfying because the producers, the writers were all huge Doctor Who fans. John Barrowman was in Arrow, and so I was kind of like, oh, this is great. And the character of Dinah Lance was the original Black Canary. So I could appreciate that, given my age and everything, she's not that anymore, and the mantle's gone to her daughter. But I thought that there would be some sort of storyline whereby that ultimately would be revealed, and that she was like an superhero. And they just didn't, I feel like they sort of brought me onto the show and then actually didn't really know what to do with me. And so that, to be honest, was, for me, frustrating. Because, if you're an actor and you know that you've got so much to give and you've got creativity, and it's like, well, why you could have taken anybody, you didn't need to have me if you're not going to use me. So yeah, that for me was actually a little bit unsatisfying.
We have about 5 minutes left.
Perfect. I've got one more banana left.
I was going to say, if you have any bananas left, you've been warned.
I'll get the final banana after the final question.
May I offer you 2 questions and you get to choose?
Sure.
One is, do you have any Clooney stories from ER? And the second one is, you've received a lot of awards. Is there any that you covet or that you're most proud of?
To be honest, it's lovely to be recognized, but it's not about awards. To be perfectly honest, for example, when ER was nominated for Emmys and things all the time, it's great, but at the same time I'm like, well, the real doctors should be getting Emmys. Real teachers, firefighters, they're the ones who should be coming up here and getting the award, because we're just the actors. And we get a very nice paycheck, and you don't. For me, it's not about the awards. Yeah. Yes.
As far as your theater days go, what was one of your favorite either plays or experiences or characters that you got to play on theater?
Okay.
So much different.
Yeah, I can tell you straight away. Both of them are Shakespeare. I did a production of Macbeth with Kenneth Branagh, which it was actually ultimately a short run. We were in London and then in England, and then we went to New York to the Armory, and it was a sort of quite an immersive experience for the audience. And it was just, it was so fantastic to perform Lady Macbeth. And we sort of had an interesting take on the couple, which we both really passionately believed in and were able to express. And then the second one was 2 years ago. I was incredibly fortunate to be asked to play Prospero in The Tempest for the RSC. and it was the first time a woman had played that role at the RSC. To me, the play made sense. It's always been a slightly odd play, and people have talked about it being not quite working. I think as soon as you have a mother protecting her daughter, everything does make sense, because they're on this island with this sort of feral, aggressive male who is after her daughter. And very often in The Tempest, the man who plays Prospero is very often an actor who's sort of already elderly, and so it sort of is weird to have an old man with a 15-year-old daughter. It's sort of just like, I don't know. Sorry, if there are any old men with 15-year-old daughters. Hey! Yeah, so those were like, sort of like career-defining moments for me. Yes?
In The Husbands of River Song, River mentions having a second wife. And what are your thoughts on all River's spouses running around out there?
Well, I don't know why I didn't get to hang with Jodie's doctor. And Cleopatra was my second wife. So, listen, I'm open to everything. Everyone and everything. Thank you. So my last question to you is, in the episode Let's Kill Hitler, the doctor referred to Melody Malone, aka River Song, in a certain scene as a character from a Hollywood movie. What was the name of the character? Mrs. Robinson. There you go. That banana bounced off your TARDIS. It's an immovable object, and you know I've been inside you. And you're bigger on the inside.
Everybody say thank you, and once again to Alex Kingston.
Yeah, good music.